Hello and welcome to this CH Video podcast. My name's Gary.
And hello, I'm Madeline. We're both senior producers here, and we're hoping that you're listening because you want to discover something interesting or useful about the subject. How do I get into the film, TV, video production industry?
CH Video has been producing video for commercial use for almost 18 years now, and we work with companies large and small to deliver their messaging in creative ways using video. Anything from new production launches, conferences and events, video content, animations, and TV ads, and loads more.
And if there's one question that we get asked, either as individual people or as a company, it's always, how do I get into the business? What do I have to do? Where do I have to go to get all the experience that I need?
Now, of course, there are a multitude of ways that the people you'll hear in this podcast have gotten to where they are, but are there any tried and tested ways of getting onto the ladder? Do I have to know someone in the business? Is it all about who you know?
Yeah, you'll hear from different people and different perspectives. Here at CH, we've got producers, editors, production assistants, as well as freelancers that we work with. And we'll also end with an insight from a couple of institutions, specifically about what they offer.
Now, hopefully school leavers, graduates and anyone generally interested will find what we and our participants have to say about their individual experiences.
So let's crack on and ask our first question. The all-important, how did you get into the business?
Well, from my perspective, I started as a graphic designer. I actually wanted to be a camera operator when I left school, but I just didn't have the grades. And I didn't know the route in, to be honest. So I just picked up pens and paper and became a designer to make a portfolio that eventually I went to knocking on doors at companies and just saying, give me a job. And eventually they did. So I did graphic design for many, many years and set up my own business. From graphic design, went into animation because software allowed me to animate, and I was a bit of an illustrator as well. And from there I went to computer graphics, CGI, all self-taught, just getting books, learning everything I could. CGI got me into sort of video, so the whole idea of storytelling in video and editing was what delivered me to be a producer. But I mean, it was a long road. I'm talking about like 30 years almost doing that.
Showing your age.
Yeah, and I think, fortunately I sort of ended up where I wanted to be, but it's been a long road. Yeah, I think that's quite an unusual, unconventional route in. So, what about you, Mads?
For me, I'm mid-30s, so I went to uni quite a while ago, but I still remember, doing my degree and thinking, okay, I definitely want to do something to do with film or photography. And I ended up, finishing uni. I had about 20 quid left in my bank account and had to leave London, move back home, and I was just desperately trying to get in touch with as many companies as I could around Soho. And then I got a lucky break. It was the right place at the right time. I met someone in, at an event, and then was able to just get a few runner jobs. So I was running as production assistant on shoots, built up a little, network of people. And then someone who I was working for one day said, like, when you finish your degree, this was before uni, but when you finished, you can get a job here. We've got a spot waiting for you. And I was so lucky, but I did work my arse off as a production assistant.
Yeah, I think obviously, you've got to be lucky, but you've got to be working up to it. You've got to be working. You've got to be good at what you do. Otherwise, you just don't, people don't know, do they? But enough about us. Let's hear from our MD here at CH Video, Emily.
I always had a passion for video and film ever since I was a child. I found it really hard to get into production because I didn't have a specific video production degree or any kind of formal training. So I ended up finding myself in a position where I would sort of applied for more conventional roles and ended up working in the corporate world for about 7 years, doing sales. So it was really hard to actually get into video production. But I sort of had some informal chats with people, which is something that I would really recommend other people do, and ask them what they would suggest I should do to try and break into video. And they said, look for opportunities within your current position. So where you're working, is there going to be the opportunity for you to actually make videos, get involved in kind of creating them? And that was really fantastic advice, because I moved into a role where I was sort of organising conferences for this company. And as part of that, there was loads of video production. So I managed to almost create my opportunities within my role. So I ended up working at a radio station for a couple of years for free, just in my spare time, creating short promos, creating sort of very short sports edits, interview edits, doing vox pops with members of the public to actually build my experience that way. So I was kind of self-taught in a way. It's a very different experience, I suppose, to somebody who's actually gone to university and studied this industry as part of a degree.
I went to university and I studied kind of a mixed course between pretty much 50-50 split of digital film animation, including 3D animation and short filmmaking, and kind of covered quite a broad set of foundational skills in that. So from university, I got a short job at a small studio. I suppose initially it was quite difficult because even though my university course taught quite a wide range of skills, the real world work is even more broad. It's even more challenging. You know, the pace of things is very, very different to university. It prepares you for the actual skills you need, but not the pace of which you need to use them, and the additional subsidiary skills that you also need. And also, meeting someone else's brief is a bit different to having an idea that you want to make yourself and being your own client. You're not going to be as critical, or you're not going to probably stretch your aims or your vision as much as somebody else would, and how much they'd ask for you would be very different to what you ask of yourself.
I went to Bournemouth University and I studied media production. I didn't know what I wanted to specialise in, and my degree gave me insight and a foundational sort of knowledge in different areas, from audio, video, web design, graphic design. It's been really interesting to kind of get a feel for different areas. It's not necessarily important to have a broad knowledge of everything, but for me, and even still now, I don't know where my passions necessarily lie, so it's really helpful to just get a feel for everything. What is it I like? What do I enjoy? What am I good at as well?
I knew I wanted to go to university, so I looked at a broadcast television and media production course, because I saw anything to do with media, maybe journalism, that sort of area. Then when I looked at the course, I obviously saw that they did like a camera side of things, and that's never something I even considered to be an actual career path. I just didn't. It's not that I didn't want to do it, I just didn't really know about it. From that, it really just, I think, grew quite quickly, because I never even touched a camera before university. My course was very broad. If I didn't try doing camera and lighting stuff, that was a choice I made to actually, we're all those positions, and it's like someone needs to do the lighting, and no one wanted to do it. Like, this is like first year of uni, so I'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. And then at first I hated doing it. No one wanted to do it because it was, if you know nothing about it, it's probably one of the most challenging things, because everyone can see it and everyone can see that it doesn't look good, and it doesn't matter what you do with anything else. If the lighting is bad, it's going to look pants. Doesn't matter what you shot it on. So no one wanted that pressure, and at first I was really, really terrible at it. Like, some of the stuff we did was really bad, but if I hadn't have put myself out there to actually explore that, I wouldn't have developed that, and I wouldn't have learnt about that, and now I love doing it. So, there's the flip side of that, where I did a sound design module and I realised it wasn't for me, but I now have that skill set and experience to say, oh, I can do elements of this, and I know the requirements, I know the limitations of that sort of stuff. So it's important to have that breadth of knowledge so you have appreciation for other departments, and I think that's really crucial to the industry.
I did an English degree at Royal Holloway University, and I actually got some really cool work experience at a production company in London, and absolutely loved it. I was involved in all of their casting team, and found a real kind of excitement and passion for what I was involved in for that whole summer. So I decided to actually apply and do a postgraduate diploma, which was at Falmouth University in Cornwall, which is really well known for its media department. And I did a TV production specific course there for a year. And it was really things above and beyond my course requirements. So I made a video to promote my dad's friend's barbecue business, for example. I made a video for a local school that helped me just get the most out of that year, and just finding that enjoyment and that passion for working with community and creating content that could help them. So I think what the postgraduate course really helped with was some key contacts. So I was working with BBC South West, so I went and did a week at Plymouth. I did some pitches for ITV West Country. I did some work experience at a local Southwest production company called 24 Productions, which are now massive. It just opened doors, I think, for me.
I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and then there was a Doctor Who competition the BBC ran called Script Screen, where groups of 4 could write a script that would be made to be an episode of Doctor Who as part of the Confidential series that they ran. So I was 10 years old at the time. I think when the competition was announced I was 9. Me and a couple of friends, we entered and we won, luckily. Went to Cardiff to see the set for the day, and on that day it was like I felt so at home and I felt alive, really. And that was the day I realised, like, this is what I want to do. This is the industry, this is the career that I see myself being happiest in. So when I finished school, I went to college and I took an extended diploma in media, which led me to university to study film, television production. Graduated and then saw the application for CH and applied and luckily got the job.
I kind of went to university, I studied journalism and drama. I kind of came out of uni, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Went into PR, which is kind of loosely connected to journalism, so I guess, and I didn't really enjoy that so much, mainly because it was financial PR, and sort of found my feet within brand, within marketing after that. So I went and worked for Lindt and loved it, so I was there for about 4 years. I got a lot of experience within brand, and then decided to go travelling. So yeah, and came back again and thought, you know, I want to do something a little bit different. I like brand, I like working in marketing, and then decided to kind of reskill. I went to Met Film School in Ealing. It was a kind of 5-day-a-week, full, intense course. Every day we were sort of covering a different thing to do with filmmaking. Obviously in the initial early days it was just learning all the skills that you needed, and then the final 2 weeks was actually shooting, directing and editing our own short film, and so we all worked on each other's projects, and it was great fun. Like, it was like going back to university again, but it was more focused. I didn't get any formal sort of qualifications from it, but what I did get was an end product, which was my final film that I could then take on, and just contacts, really. I met quite a lot of contacts, even just through my lecturers and things, and my DOP that I worked with on my final film. I still keep in contact with them now and sort of see what they're up to. So yeah, it was a good way into the industry, I think, just doing that short course.
I actually was never interested in media at all. It was my mum who thought that I'd be good at going down this career path and pushed me into studying media at college. I was not super academic, so I wanted a course that was more hands-on. So college was great for that. It was more about actually creating stuff and learning kind of the technical aspects of production, which was really useful for me. So I did 2 years of that, got some really good grades, and then was able to go to university and studied something very similar. So again, media production at Coventry University. And then I decided to take a year out because I wanted a bit more industry experience. So I went to work for a production company in London. And that gave me lots of just office experience, admin experience, kind of learning the nitty-gritty of everything. And I decided to go back to university to finish my undergrad course. Graduated for that in the pandemic time, which was very full on. And then I was fortunate enough to get offered this job at CH.
Okay, so quite a few different ways in there, Gary, don't you think?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's all reflected across the industry, but when I started, as I say, all those years ago, there are very few good courses. I think it's also because the high-end TV industry is in such a sort of golden age at the moment, and studios are popping up everywhere, and there are lots of opportunities. I think education is now so necessary.
Yeah, it is. And it's useful because it's not just getting a degree. You learn a lot, and it's a lot of life skills. So let's move on to the sort of advice that you'd want to give to people entering, our industry and starting out from the bottom. I think from my perspective, it's all about finding as many different jobs that you can put on your CV as possible. It's speaking to as many people as you can, even if there's a job that you might not get paid for, you have to suck it up. You have to go and do it, because it's going to pay dividends on your CV, and you're going to show off all of this different experience that you've had. As many runner jobs on shoots, as many days in, a post room, even getting kit from different places at uni. There's so many different options. And also another piece of advice is just researching those areas that you really like, but also other areas that you think you might not be fussed with. So, because you could change what your interests are as you go along.
Yeah, I think that's what a couple of people pick up on this next section, actually. I mean, from my perspective, there are so many online resources to learn, making ofs, director commentaries, effects reels. Every aspect of the business has excellent resources now, which it never used to have. I personally always say that understanding the language of film, watching classic movies, really helped me in my job as a director and producer. I mean, it sounds obvious, but the history of film gives you so much creativity in storytelling that you can use that other people have done before you. You stand on the shoulders of giants, as it were. It's not enough to watch the movies of your own generation. Look to study films from the early age of filmmaking. And I think a foundational knowledge is a really rewarding basis to get into this business. And it's pretty much all available at the click of a button these days.
It's just so incredibly important to grasp every opportunity that presents itself to actually work in the industry. I know when we look at CVs for roles, the formal training is a part of it, but we're always keen to see people who have actually worked and taken a job, worked on a production, done work experience somewhere, or even just made content, potentially even for friends, family, weddings for friends, birthday parties. We're looking for experience and initiative, and it kind of shows a degree of passion. And I'm always excited when I see a CV when somebody is saying that they've been making videos since they were 12 and they had their own YouTube channel. Then they created demo videos about how to use maybe equipment or how to actually do certain types of edits, or they've seen stuff in films and then they've wanted to recreate it themselves. I guess these days we're much more open-minded, I suppose, as to whether somebody's got that formal training or whether actually they've managed to get that training in another way. I don't think either avenue is closed. It's sort of open whichever way you go. And I guess I'm a great example of somebody who hasn't done that formal training but has still managed to sort of work my way up in the industry.
My advice would be to reach out beyond the university curriculum if you do go the university route, and seek to contact local studios or artists online and kind of tap into their knowledge as well as what you're being taught. I suppose it's important to follow your passion and work out what role best fits that, and then it's kind of almost sort of piggybacking on other people's advice and other people's knowledge to in a way to be able to get there. The gap really is between what you're taught and the real world scenarios. So real world work is even more broad, it's even more challenging. The pace of things is very, very different to university. At university you've got 3 months to make one video. Obviously, the expectations are quite high with that video, but with, the real world production, you've got 3 days, maybe a week to kind of make the same sort of quality product.
My name's Rob Lacey. I'm a location sound recordist. I specialise in factual and entertainment television and in corporate area. I work on a lot of BBC productions like Gardener's World, Country File. I've done a lot of sort of like adverts, online promos. I've done training films, but I've pretty much done everything there is in the industry. Any experience you can get is great because you'll get to see exactly what it's like on set, which education doesn't set you up for. And also contacts. Just try and get some experience somewhere outside of university, because to be honest, what they teach you in education, it's a basis, but it's not really how the world works. Don't panic about the grade you're getting. Make use of the access to free equipment and use it and learn it as much as you can if you want to go down a technical route. If you want to go on a production route, just try and make as many things as possible, because the better show reel you can have, the better you'll be when you actually go into the wide world of work. So if education's not your thing, it's not the only option. BBC do an amazing apprenticeship. And when I say amazing, I mean amazing. You'll end up doing 3 years, you'll get a qualification out of it, and you'll work in every department known to man, get to know so many contacts, and by the time you finish, you will be so far ahead of anybody who's been to university, you will be amazed. So that's something, it's very limited places, but it's something worth looking into. And I said experience is good. If you can just get, like even during the summers, just basically contact production companies or facilities houses who hire out film and TV gear, and just ask for experience. And I learned more in the first month of working than I did in 3 years of university. The top tip for your first week in the industry was what I did, and I think it's probably the best money I've ever spent on anything ever in my entire career. I went to the shops, to the newsagents, and I bought a 60p notebook. And what I did on my first day on the job, and all the time while I was a runner, all I did is I made a note of how people had their teas and coffees. So when they wanted a tea and coffee, I didn't have to ask them how they wanted it. And if somebody, say there was a director of photography I worked with who loved brown sugar with his coffee, because I was able to give people their teas and coffees exactly how they wanted them without having to ask, they remembered me, and I got so much work, basically, as a result of that, of the people I met, because when, it's Rob, this is the guy with the notebook. 60p that cost me, and say pretty much he was one of the first guys I worked with when I went freelance, and everyone I've met since is because of that contact I made, because of that notebook. It's them little things which make you stand out. There's a lot of competition out there, and anything you can do to stand out will be beneficial, because say people will remember your name when somebody goes, oh, do you know somebody who can do this? And they'll go, oh yes. The industry is all about networks and who you know. In my line of work, I don't bother cold calling people or trying to contact people I don't know, unless they know somebody I know, so I can drop a name bomb, because that doesn't work. People don't employ people they don't know or have any relationship with. It's the reality of a business world. People like to work with people they know or being recommended. All my jobs come through people I know and recommendations. I never, ever, ever have got a job with anyone I've contacted and they don't know me or know anyone I don't know.
So I'm Matt Duncanson. I'm a freelance camera operator, and I've been working on a freelance capacity for the past 13 years now. So my journey began studying photography at college, then went on to university to do a degree. I feel some of the best things I've done probably is grow a social media platform. I think LinkedIn, for example, and Instagram being very good for me, connecting with lots of different people that way. And sometimes work just comes from the strangest avenue. Sometimes, you just don't know who you're going to speak to sometimes. And I don't know, I like talking to people. I enjoy meeting new people, and maybe that's been a help. Getting into the industry, I think it's important to, even if you haven't got work, because obviously you don't have work straight away, I think things doing like passion projects are really important. I try to maintain doing a passion project once a year if I can, just to sort of do my own project. And also it's a good way of steering you into a different direction rather than going down a route you might not want to go down. If I was to start again, I think my biggest asset really is connections. And I wish I probably connected with different people earlier on. I've kind of saw other camera operators and production companies maybe as a threat, whereas actually it's the complete opposite. I felt like actually connecting with those people was the best kind of thing you could possibly do.
So I think it is that tenacity. You've really got to want something. I think in this industry, there's obviously so many people that would love to work in media, and you've got to kind of show that you're really keen, and maybe what makes you stand out versus other potential candidates.
I'd say that university is really great for just showing you what's out there and what's possible. The most valuable thing from that is the actual equipment. Use that to then make more and just make as much as you can. And that's exactly what I did. In my final project, I only had to make 3 sort of film short pieces of content, but I ended up working on a 20-minute drama, which I didn't get a grade for, a music video I didn't get a grade for, like another short film which I didn't get a grade for, all because people knew I had a passion for lighting and camera work, and because I wanted to have a big portfolio when I left uni. And that equipment's all free when you're there, and you can use it to your heart's extent. In the real world, you're talking about thousands of pounds to do the same rental, so it's so important to just utilize that and be able to work on as much as you can, because you learn a lot more from working on stuff than you do sitting in a classroom being told about stuff. like experience is much more valuable. That idea carried over when I left uni, because I realised really quickly that university does not reflect the real world. The type of work that I was doing at uni isn't true to the sort of stuff that I would be doing in my first sort of role. I was running and being a trainee Spark on like high-end music videos and short films and stuff like this. And you realise really, really quickly that you sort of have to go in from scratch and just go in from the beginning and relearn the industry in a way that's actually real. So I think any course that gives you that actual onset experience, not student onset experience, but actual productions, or working in a kit house or working in a rental house, is really, really imperative to understanding how the industry works. Also, the younger you are and the connections you make earlier on will obviously help you later down the line. I remember reaching out to DPs and ACs and just general videographers when I was studying, and most people are really keen to sort of give you advice, and I'd just ask for advice. And then, I don't know, a year later when I've graduated, I'll be like, now you have sort of an in again, you can say, hi, I followed your advice, it went really well, I made this, I'm now looking for work. And because they already know your name and they remember you and they know that you're interested, you're quite likely to get something on the back of that. I think you have to sort of plant those seeds early rather than cold calling straight out of university, because everyone will do that.
I guess if you haven't had any formal training, your experience can be slightly patchy. You suddenly find yourself in a situation where actually you don't have the knowledge about how to handle the scenario because you never actually studied it. So I suppose sometimes when I think about my life and my career, I'm kind of keen sometimes to go back and sort of fill in the gaps and actually do something a bit more formal to sort of close out the areas where I haven't necessarily got the knowledge and experience. So when you don't have that formal training, which is where I found myself, I've had to learn everything on the job. I've had to kind of Google, speak to people, build my network. But I suppose it hasn't necessarily impeded me in my career. It's just been a different journey.
I mean, it's never too late to reskill, really. You know, as I mentioned earlier, like a lot of people don't know what they want to do coming out of university. You're kind of thrown into the world, and it's a bit daunting, really. And yeah, just sort of try as much as you can. If you do follow a career path and it doesn't work out, or it turns out not to be something you want to do, then just don't be afraid to reskill and take the necessary steps to do that. I wouldn't have all of the experience within marketing and corporate life, really, to then be able to use those skills within the job that I'm doing without quoting loads of cliches. Life's too short to kind of not do something that you enjoy.
I think just how important actually going out there and doing the work is. You're kind of drilled in at a young age, or I definitely was, that academia is the way forward. And I don't necessarily think that's right when it comes to this sort of career. It's more about what you do outside of that to add to your kind of breadth of knowledge and experience. And I think if you're applying for a job in this kind of industry, they're always looking at, you've got a degree, you're qualified, kind of like that undergrad knowledge, but what are you doing outside of work or outside of those things to stand out from the crowd? So I just think it needs to be kind of drilled into younger people that it's more about your passion than anything else. So go out there and just try new things, and always kind of be open to learning new things in this industry, because it's always ever changing and growing.
Higher education, I think, was really beneficial to me. It helped me initially to have that network of people to work with, our lecturers who have been in various different fields of study, of business as well, working with lots of different people. I would advise to follow your gut. It's so hard to know what it is you want to do, especially at a young age. Unless you're specifically passionate about one particular area, then go for it. But if you don't know, that's okay. Hold your hands up and just be open-minded to do different roles and putting yourself out there just so you can know for yourself, actually, that didn't quite work out for me. I don't enjoy that. I'm going to try something else now. And just having that confidence to be a bit braver will really help.
Finally, let's hear from Creative Access and the University of Reading, who tell us a bit about what they offer.
My name is Shweta Ghosh. I'm a lecturer in Screen Practices and Industries at the Department of Film, Theatre and Television here at the University of Reading. And I am also a documentary filmmaker and a researcher in the field of production, film production. We have a range of undergraduate programs as well as a master's program, which offer very different opportunities for people coming in to learn about film, television and theatre. Academic institutions very often work differently from a film school where most of the learning is through only practical experience. There'll be master classes, there'll be workshops, but it's primarily through the projects that you do. But here what we do is we combine theoretical elements with practical experience. So what that does then is not only give one a sense of understanding, a critical understanding of why decisions work the way they do, why do creative decisions work, why are they effective, what work has happened in the past, which is why you'll do new work, you'll do fresh work, you'll bring a fresh perspective. So it's that combination of theoretical and, then being able to use that theoretical knowledge into your creative decision making in your practical work that I think is a very, very big win for our department. I think we've spoken very often about how who you know is what, gives you that first stepping stone into the industry. It is the people you meet also who you build as a network. So it's not just that one-on-one that you've had with somebody and that's how you slowly build up. It is learning alongside other people who eventually become the industry. So an academic institution is also providing you with the various other resources that allow you to learn about something in a relatively low stakes way. You're not constantly a part of, toxic environments. You're being supported with your mental health. So you learn better ways of working as well as developing much stronger collaborative relationships. And it gives you the time at a much younger age as, being a school leaver to really figure out what you like, because everyone knows that you might enter something. And of course, you can change things as you go along in the industry as well, if you've not, undertaken institutional experience. But it is also true that you just need time sometimes and you need mates to do it with, right? To explore things with. And this really helps you understand, because also the way the program is designed, we tend to have a much more general approach initially. And then we ask students to start thinking about how they'd like to specialize. So instead of going into a specialization, that time is what we provide. And that slow burning, more, kind environment is, I think, what we provide the support as well. I think what we provide in terms of facilities would be best described as at two levels. One is what the department itself provides. And then one is at, a more university level. So as a department, we've had Minghella Studios as a space since 2011, if I'm right about that. And we have a combination of television studios. We have 2 large theaters as well as 2 smaller spaces where students can develop their practical work. We have a wide range of equipment, some very, very high-end cameras, which are industry standard. And we have a range of technicians who work with us. So it's not just the academic staff that is working with students, but also technicians who are helping them develop right from, production design ideas to understanding how to do grading, to picking up clean sound and, using the camera rights.
So my name is Bhavini Goyate and I am Programs Manager at Creative Access. So Creative Access's aim is to make the creative economy more representative, accessible and inclusive. So that includes the creative industries as well as creative jobs such as content creation or video editing. We provide support for those who are underrepresented, and when we say underrepresented, we mean Black, Asian and ethnically diverse individuals, deaf, disabled and or neurodiverse individuals, and those from a low socioeconomic background. So for individuals looking to work in the creative industries, we provide career-long support, including internship opportunities, an opportunities board where we post available jobs, events, and more, training, CV clinics, networking events, and loads of opportunities to connect. Some of our notable initiatives include our career development bursary, where we award up to £1,000 per individual to invest in their creative career, as well as our entry support programme and our development programme designed to progress and nurture creative careers. So we take a multi-pronged approach to equity, diversity and inclusion, and so provide support not only for those who are looking for jobs, but for those who are hiring. So we offer a range of services for employers, such as recruiting staff and placing interns through positive action schemes, providing workplace diversity and inclusion training so the staff is ready to be working with people who are coming from underrepresented backgrounds, and also some general consultation as and when they need it. We have a growing and committed employer community of over 750 employers, large and small, in publishing, PR, advertising, film, TV, and more. And some notable employers include Sky, ITV, National Theatre, and the Financial Times. So in our 10-year impact report produced last year, we've since created around 2,000 paid internships, and 92% of those interns have secured permanent work after their internships. We've supported 50,000 individuals with employability skills and provided 2,000 individuals with mentoring relationships. So just a bit about myself. I actually entered the creative industries through a Creative Access internship back in 2015, which seems like a long time ago now. And I've really benefited and enjoyed being part of the community. So it feels really great to give back to an organisation that gave me so much. We get people from all different types of backgrounds. So that is university students that are looking to get into the creative industries, people that haven't been through universities, people that have decided to have a career change. But also, because we provide career-long support, we're getting people at all stages of their careers looking to progress their career, and we do provide support. Our community is really large and diverse, and we get people from all walks of life as well. And we are focused nationally, so we're working with partners all over the country.
Creative Access can be found at creativeaccess.org.uk and the University of Reading at reading.ac.uk.
I will also put a shout out to Screen Skills, another initiative that has some terrific opportunities and free learning resources available, and they can be found at screenskills.com. So that wraps it up for this podcast. We hope you found it useful. Best of luck in your quest to get into what I think is still the most rewarding business.
And remember, here at CH Video, we're often looking for people to join us. So keep an eye out on our website, chvideo.com, and our LinkedIn page.